Hello again everyone, Saka here and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, the ESA collaboration in patch 1.1, making history, and we are looking at the BepiColombo mission. This mission asks you to recreate parts of the ongoing real-world BepiColombo with added Kerbal flair. We will deliver 2 orbital probes to Moho and investigate its magnetic field and planetary features, and finally reach the surface with a small lander. For added challenge, you can attempt an Eve flyby as part of the interplanetary transfer. Not gonna lie, interplanetary transfers are not my cup of tea, gravity assists, but we will see what we've got. We have 10,625 points up for grabs. It's an advanced difficulty. We have to reach Eve departure orbit and do a flyby Eve, or reach Moho direct. Reaching Moho, deploying the orbit, test the magnetometer, detach the MMO, reach MPO, deploy orbit, test the MPO, detach the MPO, and then finally land the MSE on Moho. So a little bit more involved, let's get started. Alright everyone, our ESA rocket is on the launch pad. In collaboration with ESA, we've created this mission that challenges you to put the BepiColombo spacecraft in orbit of Moho, simulating the aspects of the real mission. You'll need to be at your best to match or surpass what real flight and mission planners achieve, but we're sure you can handle it. Thank you for your vote of confidence, Gene. We've got 2 flight plans for you. Launch immediately for a direct transfer to Moho flight. It's simpler, but the Delta V cost is higher, or launch in about 13 days. At year 190, day 290, for a more difficult but efficient flight intercepting Eve, which you can use for a gravity assist to your final destination. So, we got gold in the Rosetta mission. I imagine the flyby of Eve is going to be needed for the gold medal here. So we're going to try to launch in 13 days. Alright, since it looks like you're planning to do the Eve flyby maneuver, we've adjusted the target orbit. It's more inclined. Remember to depart Kerbal on day 290 for the ideal transfer window. We're at day 287, so we have 3 days to go, and it looks like we are going to be launching either to the southeast at a 45-degree orbit or to the northeast at the 45-degree orbit, just depending on when the KSC intersects this orbit. So let's go ahead and continue till day 290, and then we'll see if we want to launch on the daylight side or the dark side, as Darth Vader would say. All right, so this is day 290. We're coming up on the dark side, so we want to launch when the KSC is right about ya. So let's speed it up just a bit. Let's not get too overzealous here. Hopefully we didn't miss the transfer by much, and it would be really cool if they put an orbit around Eve so I know exactly what to shoot for, because gravity assists kind of confuse me a touch. But we are coming right up to the launch point. So right about here is when we want to launch, and we want to launch to the northeast right at 45 degrees. That's going to be pretty much bang on northeast. So we will do what we can here. And it looks like we'll be launching around noon, so we'll have a nice view of the rocket. And here we go. All right, we are set. Ready to launch. SAS on. Full power. We want to launch to the northeast, so that's on the 45 degree. 3, 2, 1, go! All right, we are away and launching to the northeast. Tilting along that 45 as best we can. We're picking up a lot of speed, not at max dynamic pressure. I'll go ahead and fast forward through this launch. You won't miss a thing, and let's see if we can get this bad boy into orbit. All right, just left the atmosphere. We're going to go ahead and pop that fairing away. T minus, let's see, so burn time 39 seconds it says, so we'll burn at T minus 20 or so. we'll go ahead and, do we have any yes, we do have some gigantic solar arrays, so we can go ahead and start getting our rocket charged. Node coming up in a few moments. And hopefully, old Gene can give us some direction on where we're going. But nearing that point in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And we're going to burn all the way we can, and since we waited until the vacuum, we were going to run out of fuel about here, but now, since we waited until we're in the vacuum to fire, we're going to save a whole lot of fuel, or at least delta V in that case, so we'll only burn just a little bit of this next stage, which is all well and good. We were at 82 on the apoaps. 85 is the projected orbit that we are trying to achieve, so we can fine-tune that, and away we go. All right, 1.5 meters a second, and we're in an 81 by 86, and hey, that's close enough for government work. All right, aim for a transfer that reaches Eve around 200 days. That would be around year 191, day 65. Aim to swing by in front of the planet so it lowers your orbit relative to the sun, but not too close. Eve's atmosphere is very dense. A prograde maneuver of 1,090 meters a second will be enough if you time it well. Plotting just a single gravity assist can be difficult. Be careful to plan it well ahead of time. The real BepiColombo used 9 gravity assists around Earth, Venus, Mercury to reduce the mission's delta V requirement. All right, so taking a look at what Gene said here. A prograde maneuver of 1,090 meters a second will be enough if we time it well. So 1,090. We'll see what we got here. We'll go ahead and see where Eve is. All right, so there's Eve, 45 degrees behind us. So we want to burn this away and lower our periaps in relative to the sun. So we're going to burn that way. And it says 1,090 meters a second. So let's look at 1,090 and just take a look, see how close we are. Looks like a good launch orbit. Let's set Eve as our target here. Hello, Eve. I'd like to set you as a target, please. That's all Kerbal stuff. Hey, come on now. Oh, wow. We actually hit it right on the nose. We will encounter Eve. There's our periaps. And the burn time is going to be 1 minute and 3 seconds. So we're going to go ahead and burn at 31-ish or so. And I'll see you then. All right, nearing the burn time. We'll do 32 or 31 and a half and full throttle. Off we go. It's going to be a long burn here. And when we're done, we'll see exactly where we end up around that Eve transfer. Hopefully it's close enough for Gene. All right, burn done. We'll see where that puts us in the grand scheme of things. Let's set Eve as our target. Okay, so we kind of lost it. We might have to go retrograde just a bit to bring that down. I think we overshot just a skosh. There we go. All right, so that is the Eve periaps of 62 million meters. All right, now that we've exited Kerbal's sphere of influence and we are well on our way, we can see that this particular approach to Eve is going to throw us pretty much exactly where we are. We're going to have to get closer to Eve to do some adjustment, especially getting it down to Moho's orbit. So it's going to be a little bit of me faffing around and doing mid-course corrections and seeing what the approach I need to do for Eve to lower this, considering how it's not going to say we need to fly by Eve less than 1 million meters or so. So we need to get really close to Eve, and we want to make sure that we are on the correct side of Eve to do that flyby and get that checked. So I'll faff around with the maneuver nodes a bit, see exactly what I need to do to get that done, and be right back. So 700,000 meters around Eve. And then the big question is, what is that going to do to our orbit afterwards? And looking at that, yeah, it's going to shoot us out even wider than the orbit of Kerbal. So I think we just keep going retrograde and get to the other side of Eve, shall we? Yeah, let's flip this sucker right on around. So that's 948, and we're on the other side of Eve. Okay, so we get to Eve. It lowers our apoapse just a bit. It gets our periapse right there. All right, so at this point, we've gotten our periapse right on the back side of Eve here. We're at 214,000 meters, giving it a hard shot and basically slamming on the brakes, lowering our ultimate periapse to the sun to 5 million, or billion? Yeah, that's 5 billion meters. I mean, taking a huge chunk out of our orbit for sure. I don't know if once we get to this point, if we can just start braking and Moho will work its way around, or if we have to do several orbits out here in deep space just waiting for Moho to line up. But that looks to be right on keel. Moho has a little bit of an inclined orbit, so as long as we stay steady, we slow down, bring our periapse right here, we won't have to do an inclination change to meet Moho when it gets over here. So I think this is about as best as we can do. So we will fast forward time until we get to the other side of Eve, which will be about right here in 189 days. All right, we're about 15 seconds away from our Eve encounter. Let's go ahead and take a look at this thing and see if we can see Eve along the galactic plane. I mean, it should be out here, but then again, Eve is massive. It's not like a jewel. But if we turn retrograde and we look in the direction that we are facing, there is Eve right there, ready to do our transfer. Still got plenty of electric charge. We've opened up these solar panels as well, and we'll definitely be within 1 million meters. We're at 214,000 meters. So that's pretty close. We're not going to get into the atmosphere, thankfully, and it should slow us right down. So let's go ahead and warp a little bit closer to Eve and then appreciate the hard braking maneuver that we're going to be doing here. Here's our Eve flyby coming over the top, and then just bringing this thing right down. We hope you've plotted your next maneuver well. This is a very high-risk, high-reward plan you have going. Yeah, we're not going to be dipping into Eve, thankfully. We're going to be nestling it right next to the atmosphere. And then hopefully this will slow us down. So there is the flyby Eve. Check the distance between the vessel and the object reaching Moho. So we're not on a time limit, thankfully. And this is going to slow us right down. Hello, Eve. You massive purple plum. And away we go. Over the magnetosphere, and we're good. All right, so let's go ahead and set Moho for a target and see what kind of maneuver we need to do to get there. All right, so what we've got is a good loop around. We've already done our slowing down. We're going to wait one orbit to get back to our apoapse here, and then we're going to do a close approach on Moho. It looks like we're really close, 119,000 kilometers. All right, nearing go time, 3 years and about 60 days into it. We're going to be burning, well, we were going to be burning for 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but unfortunately, the warp to next maneuver ran us a little bit long. So we'll make up for that time here. and let's actually just rotate along our axis so that the solar panels get maximum sun. We're going to run out of fuel around here, and then we'll be using the xenon gas. 2,900 meters a second, but not a whole lot of acceleration. So I will go ahead and complete this maneuver. You won't miss a thing, and then we'll fine-tune for our approach to Moho. All right, finally, 10 seconds left of our burn. We're down to 9 meters a second difference. With our xenon gas and our lack of acceleration, we definitely have to plan well in advance our maneuvers. Let's go ahead and look at the map screen and see if we are indeed on an encounter with Moho, and indeed we are. All right, we are adjusted. We're going over the top, and we are at 202,000 meters, and that should be right on the ball as far as our inclination is concerned. We'll F5 for safety again, and it should be fine to go over the top. So let's settle in and get our next Moho approach. All right, getting closer to Moho here. There we go. You'll need to put the spacecraft in a polar orbit over the top of Moho. Keep that in mind as you make your approach. We've already done such things as these because we planned well in advance and used just a little bit of fuel. So now it's time to really slam on the brakes once we do get over the top and bring this apoapse right down. Proceed to the first designated orbit where you'll drop off the MMO, the Moho Magnetosphere Orbiter. All right, so what is this orbit? I mean, I guess it's just slowing down to the deploy orbit. I don't exactly see an indicator. So yeah, we're just going to keep slowing right on down. All right, BepiColombo is named after Giuseppe BepiColombo, an Italian engineer and mathematician who explained Mercury's unique 3-2 resonance. It spins 3 times on its axis every 2 revolutions around the sun. He advised NASA how to place Mariner 10 into an orbit that would enable the spacecraft to perform 3 flybys of Mercury between 74 and 75. The real-world BepiColombo is wrapped in specially designed high-temperature multi-layer insulation, including 2 layers of ceramic-based fabric separated by an insulating foam and multiple layers of titanium foils. To customize this insulation to the spacecraft, cutting tools had to be replaced regularly, and the stitching had to be done manually. We had to bring in experts who performed the manual stitching at the launch site and had to reserve extra time for this work. Uli, project manager. Pretty cool stuff. The real-world BepiColombo solar rays are exposed to high-frequency, high-intensity ultraviolet radiation combined with high temperatures, a combination which is known to induce an unexpectedly fast degradation in solar cell performance. This was resolved by a complex method of continuous solar array steering control in order to keep the temperature below an allowed maximum by a specific redesign of solar cells. Solar array development was, in my view, the hardest and most dangerous technological challenge, and the one with the biggest impact on mass, schedule, and cost, especially the late discovery of dramatic solar cell degradation due to the combined catalytic effect of high-intensity UV at high temperatures took a long time to solve and had a severe impact on spacecraft design. Danielle, systems engineer. I didn't understand a word you just said, but that's awesome. Even Gus agrees. I would like to draw your attention to the remarkable fact that the BepiColombo spacecraft is a living catalog of all propulsion systems that you can find on board current spacecraft. In fact, if in the transport module you can find ion propulsion and a bipropellant system. In one orbiter you find a different bipropellant system, the so-called dual mode, and set of monopropellant thrusters. Finally, the other orbiter is equipped with a cold gas system. Thank you, Danielle. All right, so there is Moho. We're braking hard. We've got 44 meters a second left in the xenon gas stage and 552 meters a second in this stage here. So we're going to lower our delta V required, definitely below the 550 mark, so we shouldn't run out of fuel in this next stage. So fingers crossed everything goes well. Let's go ahead and stage once we run out of that xenon gas, which is any time here. So it's almost RCS thrusters here that we're going to use to finish off this maneuver. It sounds like RCS thrusters. And then once we come to a complete stop, we'll shake and get that solar panel gone. But yeah, we'll just complete this burn. All right, burn completed. We're at 278 meters a second left. All we have to do is raise our test periapsis between 190 and 210. We're at 148, so we don't need to do much. We'll just go ahead and warp to the bottom of Moho here. And then once we see that our apoapse is getting close, we'll just raise up that periapse. So we'll go prograde and warp forward a bit. Looks like 1 hour and 37 minutes or so. And then once we get right on our apoapse, we can go prograde and just increase that up a bit. 6 minutes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, lower that to real time, point prograde. And we're shooting between 190 and 210. Let's wait until T-5 or so. All right, 60, 70, 80, 191. That should be okay. Hey. There we go. Run a magnetometer test to confirm that we have good telemetry from the Moho magnetosphere observer before releasing it into orbit. Due to Moho's long day, it will need to stay in orbit for months to fully met its magnetosphere. You'll have to release the sun shield fairing that protects the MMO to access. A. Deploy the protective shell? Outstanding. Alright, wherefore out there is our magnetometer. Run the magnetometer test. That's the battery pack. Can we get some lights on this thing? I think it's a big antenna. Like it's going to be really hard to miss it. Oh, is that it? Yeah. Run magnometer report. And there it goes. Holy crap on a cracker. All right, transmit the data, please. Yeah, plenty of electric charge. Don't have to worry about a thing. Release the Moho magnetosphere orbiter in your current orbit for it to continue gathering data about Moho. Moho's very long sidereal day means that the MMO will need to gather data for a long period to map the magnetic field. So is that this staging thing right here? I believe it might be. All right, F5 for safety, just in case. All right, the Moho planetary observer needs to be placed in a lower orbit so that its instruments get the best view of Moho. All right, reach the MPO deploy orbit. So that's this thing here. All right. Between 725,000 meters and 190 to 210. All right, so we need to get test peri between 190 and 210, which we've got, well, kind of. Let's go ahead and increase our periapsis just a bit. Oh, a little bit too much. Let's go 200 if we can. So there's 200,000. And now we need the apoapse down to 700,000. All right, so when we come over the top, we will be doing that burn. Add maneuver. Add some retrograde. And about how much are we looking to get it down to 700,000? 900,000. 600,000. About 118 meters a second or so. So that's going to be an 18-second burn. So we'll burn at T-9 retrograde and get it there. So I will see you for the maneuver. All right, we'll be looking for 750,000 meters. We're going to burn at about T-9. And then that should lower our apoapse right up to get to that 750. And booyah. Yeah, let's just slow it right down to about 750, 60, 750, there. So that should be close enough for government work. The Moho planetary orbiter has quite a few experiments to monitor Moho from a closer distance. Test at least one. One item that the real-world BepiColombo will be looking for is any possibility of pockets of habitability on Mercury. The axis of rotation is oriented perpendicular to the orbit. Polar region sunlight strikes. Interior large craters and poles are permanently shadowed and remain below 60K, 210 Celsius. Radar images of the polar regions show the large crater interiors are highly reflective at radar lengths. Most common material is ice. Interesting. The tiny influx of ice from infalling comets could be cold-trapped in Hermian polar caps over billions of years, or water vapor might originate from the planetary interior and be frozen at the poles. All right, so let's log the gravity data, transmit the gravity data. Should have no problem doing that. We're close enough to the sun to get that done. We're recharging like crazy, thankfully. Otherwise, we would have run out of electric charge by now. So we'll go ahead and send this gravioli back. Ooh, that's cutting it close, I say. Yeah, let's let that thing recharge. Release the Moho planetary orbiter in your current orbit to gather data around Moho. It will also act as a relay for your other spacecraft back to Kerbal. Make sure it's overhead when you try to land the MSE. So this guy is going to be our radar dish, because we're going to be landing this little guy in a crater at the top of the pole. All right, so let's go ahead then. F5 for safety. And detach. All right, on to the final step. Our scientific team has selected a landing target for you. Set the MSE, Moho surface element, down as close to the designated coordinates as you possibly can. All right, so we are going to be landing right about Cha, right in the dark crater. And we want to do it when our vessel is overhead. All right, so let's just see if we were to add a maneuver and we go retrograde, what kind of delta V are we seeing on the drop? So like a 500 meter a second if we were to sort of suicide burn. Then again, the planet would also have to rotate under us as it's not perfectly on the pole. So it's just going to be a thing where once we get a minute out or 30 seconds out, we just do what we can. All right, so let's go ahead and warp here. See if our relay station is overhead. If we have good signal, and see if that thing is rotated close enough. What we could also do is do a little bit of rotation, but we've got 2,000 meters a second. It's going to take 600 to slow down, and then we'll use the rest to come to a complete stop. I kind of don't like where that's sitting, so we'll just hedge our bets a bit, go around a few times, and wait for another ideal opportunity. All right, so 539 meters a second. We go at T-minus 24. And we don't have smart targeting, so we'll stability assist, try to get it right on point, and do what we can here. 6, 5. Yeah, we don't even have a landing gear, so this thing is just going to be setting nice and easy down. And we're just going to be on stability assist because it can't track the maneuver node. So we'll do what we can. We'll come down over the top, and we'll see what happens here. All right, settling down now, coming straight down 500 meters. We have 231 meters a second left in the tank. And we'll just sort of modulate the throttle a bit. We're losing a little bit of speed as we're coming down. We can't really see any shadows, but we should have more than enough fuel to do it this time. Yeah, we're at 100 meters above the surface. Let's go ahead and slow down to about 5 meters a second or so. Really slow it down. Easy. Cut. Cut. All right, did we do it? Excellent work. Mission complete. You've managed to complete every step of this extraordinary journey to the closest planet to the sun. Amazing job. The data recovered will be analyzed and doubtless will give us new discoveries and papers to write about Moho for decades. We got a silver 7,000 points. I don't know where we gave up some time. Okay, so yeah, maybe it was a time-sensitive thing. If we went straight there, we would get a better multiplier. But silver is not bad, considering how I am not a gravity assist type player, but overall pretty fun. So feel free to follow along. It was fun for me, but like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next Kerbal Space Program video. Take care.